Hi, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Senators All Access presented by Bell. I'm Gord Wilson, joined by Pierre Dorion, the General Manager of the Ottawa Senators. Thanks very much for taking some time out of a very busy day. I think it's safe to say one of the more anticipated days of an NHL season is the trade deadline day. It has come and gone, and you're breathing maybe a sigh of relief. How much fun did you have today, first of all?
Oh, I think today is probably the best day to be a general manager in the NHL. I think it comes down to trade deadline, and you're on the phone all day, and you're finding out what other teams are doing. You're trying to do also, it's a bit of a chess match. You're also trying to do deals to counteract what some of your counterparts have done. So it was a really fun day today.
You have added pieces to your puzzle. You have subtracted one player from your roster, and I know just based on what I know about you, there was some disappointment, obviously, in the announcement that Curtis Lazar was dealt to the Calgary Flames. Let's walk us through the last deal of the day made by you, and that happened shortly before the 3 p.m. trade deadline. Curtis goes to the Calgary Flames for a second-round pick, and a veteran defenseman, not an old defenseman, but a defenseman by the name of Jyrki Jokipaki, a Finnish defenseman who's going to give you some depth. Just take us through the inner workings of that deal.
Yeah, we just felt in making this deal that, Curtis, there was a good chance that he wasn't going to be regular from now to the end of the year. We just felt that going into this draft, adding a high pick, which is what we did, and also looking at our depth on the fence, improving it, having 8 NHL defensemen in our lineup was something that we really looked at. And we seem to accomplish doing both with having Curtis move on. Curtis is going to be a good player in the NHL, but things just didn't fit right since the start of the year with us.
Prior to this deal, I think going into the draft in June, you had 3 draft picks. With the departure of Curtis, you also acquire, as you say, a high pick, a second-round pick. How important is that for the organization?
I think it's very important for this organization. Our amateur scouts feel that we're going to get, now adding that second-round pick, 2 NHL players. They won't play right away, but they'll be guys that can help the organization 2, 3, 4 years down the road. And they felt that the draft drops off at a certain point in time, but if you get assets in the first 2 rounds, that would definitely help this organization. And it was something that we were looking to do to add that one top pick, and we did it today.
As someone who's got an extensive background in scouting and was instrumental in acquiring or drafting Curtis Lazar, how difficult was this move for you personally?
It was very difficult because I remember the day that we drafted Curtis in New Jersey.
Yeah.
He's grown a lot. He's become he's gone from a teenager to a man, and to see him go. But at this point in time, things weren't working out with us. He didn't probably hit a ceiling with us, and he might do it with Calgary, but we're not sure that he will. And it'll be up to them to see if they can get the most out of him. And we just felt that this was the right move for the organization.
Okay, let's go back in time here now. Only 24 hours ago, you made a move to add some depth to the organization. Victor Stahlberg was acquired from Carolina for a third-round pick. What can you tell us about Victor as a player and what your expectations are with him within the organization?
Well, Victor is a big guy. Strong, very good skater. He's someone that's going to fit in well in our bottom 6 forwards. Great speed, as I just mentioned. Very good ability to play the penalty killing. He's got a really good shot. I think he fits the identity of this team with his speed and his size, and something that we're looking to do. And I think he's going to fit in really well with this team.
I'm going to ask you kind of a weird question here, but how much does personality and the fact that he knows players on this team, your captain, Erik Karlsson, does that play a role at all or a factor?
I think the adjustment might be easier.
Yeah.
He can just follow Erik a bit around for the first week and say, okay, this is how they do things in Ottawa compared to Carolina. But Victor's a pro. He's been on a few teams in the NHL, and he knows the business. And I think when you have someone that has that baggage of experience, he'll know how to adapt fairly quickly. But sometimes on the personal side, going out to supper the first few nights, he's not too lonely. He knows he's got a friend here, and it can be really, it can make the transition seem fairly smooth.
All right, speaking of experience, on Monday you made a huge splash on the trade market situation in terms of acquiring a veteran with over 800 games under his belt, and perhaps more importantly, Alex Burrows has played 70 playoff games. This is now the push for the playoffs without question. your thoughts on Alex and why you got him and how important he might be to this team.
Well, I think Alex is going to be a very important part of this team for the 2 years and 2 months he's going to play here. You never know, maybe beyond that. He's a high character person. He's a high character player. To me, I call him the ultimate warrior. Gritty, goes to the net. Something that we were lacking at times, going hard to the net. He fills that void for us. He's someone that can play the power play, the penalty killing, can play both wings. He can play up and down in our lineup. He's someone that just brings, he's seen it all. He's been to the Cup final. He's been on teams where they've fought hard to make it to the playoffs. And he's just someone that just totally gets it for me. And adding that element, those intangibles, that character, the leadership, he had such a huge presence in the Vancouver locker room that it was something that for us was just, we simply could not pass up on.
Pierre, you mentioned right off the get-go that on a day like this, you watch other teams and see what kind of moves they're making and maybe counter moves. Was this a move made on Monday sort of to counter what other teams in the division either have done or have made already? In other words, Montreal has a couple of players that fill that gritty mold, you know, and now you've got someone who can counter that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I think for us, we set the tone, I think, Monday.
Yeah.
I think we were one of the first teams that did a move, and I think other teams followed suit in the next few days. But getting a piece like Alex Burrows, I felt, was the big piece we needed to do at this trade deadline.
Yep. I was just going to say, you went to Switzerland about a month ago, a couple of weeks ago at least, and went on a weekend scouting mission. And did that prove to bring Chris DeDominico to the Ottawa lineup?
Yeah, I'm just going to say his first name, but bringing Chris to our lineup was, as far as the depth player in this run, was something that we felt could be useful for him. He's never been with an NHL team as far as playing in the NHL and just seeing what the NHL is about. He's been in other organizations where he was in the American League, but seeing what it goes on actually during the regular season. But at the time, what impressed me the most about Chris was his ability to play. His hockey sense, his hands, his compete level were all factors that I said, this guy's got a chance to be a good depth player for us as soon as we can get him.
Players added to the roster over this last week have given your coach some options. Is that the key to all of this entire endeavor, is to just make life a little bit easier for your coach?
Yes, I think it makes life much easier for our coach now. He's got elements in place. He'll have internal competition at the forward and defense position. He'll have a lot of guys that can just, if you have a bad night, you know that someone else might come in and take your spot. And he told me we seem to have checked off all the boxes for him to give us the best chance to get into the playoffs, but also maybe a surprise in the playoffs.
How do you anticipate, or what do you see down the run here, down the stretch in this playoff run now?
Well, now with the number of bodies we have, injuries can't be a factor anymore. We'll have enough NHL proven bodies that have played games over the course of their career that even if we run into a few injuries, it won't be an excuse for us. I think we have the elements in place, the character, the elements to really make a strong push. Hopefully clinch as soon as we can. Even if we clinch on game 82, I'll still be very happy. Sure. But if we could clinch as quickly as possible and then just move from there and bring back the excitement of the playoff hockey back to Ottawa.
General Manager Pierre Dorion, thank you very much for your time here. Congratulations on the day and good luck down the stretch. All right, just a reminder that you can catch all the video and audio from the principal players who were involved in becoming members of the Ottawa Senators on our website at ottawasenators.com. For this special edition of Senators All Access presented by Bell, I'm Gord Wilson.